Hey guys, Willie Creeman here, and just wanted to do a quick little draft recap on a draft I did last Sunday, the 27th. It is September 3rd today, so getting ready for another draft later tonight, but just want to go through a few of the picks that I made, my thought process for it, and why I kind of did that. So it was a draft through Yahoo, one of the leagues that I'm running. It's a 12-team PPR league. Yahoo decided to give me a D for the draft, which I think is kind of funny. Their grading system, I'd love to be able to talk to them about that, but I felt like I did a pretty good job on my end. There is room for some improvement, but some of the drafts I was seeing throughout our league, they ended up giving Fs for, where I gladly would have taken their team. So just very interesting, and I want to kind of find out more about their ranking in terms of how they do that. But to jump into this here, I was drafting seventh overall, and I took Cooper Cup in the first round, which seemed at the time like a pretty good pick, a pretty solid pick that he had fallen to seven there. And now I don't feel as good about it, given the news about his hamstring and re injuring that hamstring injury that he did have. So I definitely have larger concerns about that, and it looks like he's probably not going to be ready to go week one. I was reading from Ian Rappaport that he did travel to Minnesota, so he's going to sit down with a specialist, look at that a little bit further, try to understand, what that injury actually is and how it's going to affect him going forward. So I think he should get some clarity, and hopefully in turn we get some clarity in the next few weeks. But you're talking about a guy that has, wide receiver number one overall upside. He was leading everybody, including Justin Jefferson last year when he did go down and get hurt. He was averaging about 25 points a game. So even if he's going to be gone about, a fourth of the season, he still comes back in plenty of time to be able to get you to the championship. And, guys that score 25 points a game are pretty far and few between. So I definitely think he's got a chance to be able to make it back. And I hope he doesn't rush back. I want to make sure that when he does get back, I'm getting that solid production consistently every single week. There are mild concerns about that pick too, with the team possibly tanking. There's not a lot of overall talent on that team, and that's one thing that concerns me is that if he's not there the first 4 weeks, what is the outlook for the team at that point? Where are they going to be? How are they going to look? And are they going to start trading away some of these pieces like Aaron Donald and him, possibly him as well, if they do start out 0 and 4, 0 and 5. So definitely felt great about it at the beginning, but feeling less so now and hoping that he comes back soon, pretty healthy. I followed that wide receiver pickup with another wide receiver in the second round. I took Garrett Wilson, who I think he was going, I think, 7 or 8 in the ESPN draft that they televised. And I really think there is a lot of hype around him. You see the hard knocks, you see the preseason games, the rapport that he has with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he looks like a younger Devontae Adams out there. Really, really good hands, great route running, and I mean, he's just pulling in some spectacular balls. So I really think he's got a lot to give this year. The only concern that I have about him at all is basically the tempo of the offense. Aaron Rodgers, they like to lean on the run. They've got a great defense there. He doesn't need to go out and throw 50 touchdowns for them to win those games. He's got to be able to have a long, efficient drives, run the ball really well, which I think they'll do with Brees Hall and Dalvin Cook there. And I just really hope that when they do get down around the goal line, he's looking Wilson's way. And it seems like that's kind of been the theme that we've seen so far in the practices and the preseason for him. So real hyped about Garrett Wilson. I really think there's not much not to like about him. And I think next year we're looking at him as a bona fide first round pick, maybe top five if he really pops off this year. So I followed that pickup. I was kind of surprised about this next one, but Mark Andrews was there. I had him on my team last year. Great start to the season last year. Anyone that had him really, really liked this guy. I believe he was the number one overall tight end at that point. All of a sudden, Lamar goes down. He gets banged up too. And it was tumultuous after that point. Week after week of like 5, 6, 7 points, and that was just brutal. So I had a really tough time redrafting him, but I really think that this year, with all the weapons they've surrounded, it's just going to give him more opportunity to be able to get open, and you can't just focus on Mark Andrews and beat the Ravens that way. Now you're going to have to beat Zay Flowers, Bateman, OBJ. Like, there's more people on this offense that you have to worry about. And who knows, maybe J.K. Dobbins will have two legs this year. It's going to be a little bit better for him as well. But I think the value here, when you're looking at that in the third round, it was too good to pass up. And my buddy was actually pretty pissed that he didn't see Andrews there, so he passed on him. So I was very happy to scoop him up when he came there. So I followed that pick up with a highly controversial pick in the fourth round. Now, a lot of people have given me a lot of grief about this pick, and, justifiably so. We all make mistakes and stuff, and I'm not going to say that yet. I've been a Najee fan for many years now. Ever since he was at Alabama, I really like the way he played the game. I like what he brings to the game. But in fantasy football, stats matter, and so that's a big thing. A lot of people hated on this pick, but it may have been a little bit of a reach. But when I looked at the board, there was only one other player I was really looking at that time, and that was Keenan Allen. And I really, with Keenan Allen's injuries last year and stuff, I didn't want to jump into that again. So I decided to go running back here, as I wasn't crazy about Allen. I think Najee Harris definitely has a bounce back year, similar to like his rookie season. Now, I get it. He's splitting time with Jalen Warren. I definitely get that. My thing is, I think with Jalen Warren being there, it actually helps him out a little bit because it keeps him fresher. Don't forget the first 5, 6 games last year, he had a plate in his foot, playing through that, and it's just not. It's not conducive for him to be able to be super efficient. Now, after that, definitely you can put that on him. The efficiency metrics, they matter, especially in fantasy football. So he wasn't great, but I think he definitely has a bounce back year, and I'm actually picking the Steelers to have a great year as well. So I really think that this year he gets it done, and I still see him getting at least 20 touches a game and being able to pop with that. So next pick I went to in the fifth, I ended up taking Justin Fields, and I had Justin Fields on my team last year. I ended up picking him up off the waiver wire, and he crushed it for me. I mean, some of the games that he had, it was just kind of ridiculous, like running all over the place. And over a full season, you look at the numbers, and it's kind of scary. I mean, he could be really the number one overall QB, and I think he's made a lot of strides. My pros that I'm looking at with him is he's a serious playmaker. Like I said, he's got number one upside to him. Also, they added DJ Moore, and the offensive line got a lot better for him too. Some of the cons that I was looking at, he took way too many sacks last year, and that's the thing that I'm hoping that the offensive line, the improvement there, will help kind of cut down on some of that. There's the knock on him that he's not an elite passer, but let's be serious. Like, a lot of these quarterbacks really weren't that good until they got some playmakers on their team. Like, it's really tough to be able to throw to, you know, Darnell Mooney when he was injured and stuff. They bring in Chase Claypool, who like is going to end up washing out of the league in another year. Like, these guys he wasn't really throwing to anybody that was that good, and now he gets someone like DJ Moore, who still I'm not very high on, but he's a better receiver than they had there before. He's got that rapport with Cole Kmet. I really think that this year is the year he takes a step forward as an elite passer, and I'm hoping that's going to be one of the things for him. So again, that was one of the cons that people are knocking him for right now. And the last is DJ Moore that good? I'm not going to say he's great and stuff. I've never been a huge DJ Moore fan, but I definitely think it's an upgrade over what he's had before. In the sixth round, you could see I ended up taking Kenneth Walker, which I'm, again, another shocker that he's there. And I think that's one of the things as you go through these drafts, you have to kind of see who falls to you, right? It's hard to predict because you can use a draft simulator like they have on Fantasy Pros, or listen to Matthew Berry or Evan Silva. But the issue is they don't know your specific guys in terms of how they draft within your league. So you need to be able to be kind of tuned into, all right, this guy really likes running backs, or he's a Giants fan, whatever it is, the tendencies that these people in your league have, you have to tune into those and kind of be looking for those as you come forward, seeing how many people have quarterbacks on the board, when's one coming back to you and stuff. So with this, Kenneth Walker was sitting there, and it was kind of a no-brainer for me. Another guy that I had last year, absolutely crushed it for me. He had some down games, but this guy was a touchdown machine last year, and it felt really good to snag him in the sixth round. They brought in Charbonnet, I know that, but don't forget Pete Carroll's always been a one running back guy. Back to Chris Carson, and they had Rashad Penny last year. They rode him. He gets hurt. In comes Kenneth Walker, and he's the guy. So I think Charbonnet's going to get some, and I think it keeps Kenneth Walker fresh. You can only have so many 25 carry games in the NFL, and they're showing that over the course, like the amount of mileage some of these running backs have on them. It takes a toll. So I think keeping him fresh is definitely going to be a good thing this year. Moving on, Jordan Addison, and this is one of my guys. Jordan Addison's just an absolute stud. Great pass catcher in college, great route runner. I mean, there's not really much not to like about this guy, and I think he's going to the perfect place. Where else are you going to see a player go and step into a guy that's the number one receiver, number one guy in fantasy overall in Jefferson, and then arguably like the two or three, I say at least four, 3 to 4 for TJ Hawkinson being the third or fourth tight end. I mean, there's going to be half the field dedicated to covering Jefferson and Hawkinson. This guy's just going to run loose in the secondary. So I really think he has a big year. Minnesota's also going to be behind a lot this year. At least that's my belief. I don't think they did much to upgrade that defense. Yeah, they brought Hunter back, but I still just don't think they have enough there to really compete game in and game out. This is going to help them do that. Having Jefferson, Hawkinson, and Addison, I think this is going to be a big thing. And Madison hopefully takes over that Dalvin Cook role and is sustainable over the full year to be able to produce at least a little bit for them. So I think he just has the potential to be like a Waddle, a Higgins, Devontae Smith, like that elite number 2 receiver on his team. And I think he's in a perfect position to do it. And I'll go out there and say like 85 to 90 receptions and 10 touchdowns is not out of the realm of possibility for this guy. So really like Jordan Addison this year. Khalil Herbert, starting running back in the eighth. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I mean, I took Fields and stuff, but I think what we saw from Khalil Herbert, not only last year but also in the preseason, he seemed to be pretty good. Yeah, he had that one game where his yards per carry were real low, but I think he ended with 2 carries for -1 yards in one of the games. But listen, everyone saw him house that pass from Justin Fields, took that right to the house, and it made everyone kind of feel good about Khalil Herbert. So I really think taking him in the eighth, really good job there. And I think he's very talented. He's going to be able to hold off Foreman. I know they brought in Roschon Johnson, who I think is 1 year away from being an absolute stud in this league. I really think so. I think Bijan, he took all the hype at Texas and stuff, but Roschon Johnson's a great running back. I think he went to a great spot with the Bears there. He's going to see some time next year, and he could even see some time on third down. I see him sneaking ahead of Foreman before the end of the year. So really like Khalil Herbert. In the ninth, I ended up taking Dalton Kincaid. Now, people get mad on this, but another one of my guys here, I think he's going to have a great, great year. And people keep trying to draft this dude like he's a tight end. He's not a tight end. I know he's got tight end attached to his name, but this guy is a slot receiver who the Bills brought in. They took him in the first round. They are going to use him this year. I keep going back and forth with my buddy saying that, there's these other guys, Khalil Shakir, Deontay Hardy, that are starting in the slot ahead of him. This guy is going to get targets this year. You don't draft a guy in the first round and not use him. They say he's NFL ready. They say he's killing it in practice in the preseason. He's picked up the playbook. This guy's got great hands. I guarantee in October people are going to be regretting that they did not draft this guy. I think he's going to have an absolute killer year, and he could be like, finish as a top five tight end. So, my guy right there, Dalton Kincaid. Uh, you could see next I went after Jalen Warren, just a little bit of security for Najee Harris. So I was kind of lucky I was able to snag him. Now, I usually hate doing this. A few years ago, I did that with Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, and it just doesn't feel good when you've got two guys in the same backfield. It's a wasted roster spot. But here, I feel like Jalen Warren provides a lot of value because even week one, you could put him in there as a flex and he's going to get you a few points. So I really think he's got upside this year, and I just don't know how much it's going to be. But I think having both of them, I can kind of wait and see on my end and then make my decision. So really like Jalen Warren, everyone saw that touchdown run really, really fast, and he's already drawn comparisons to Austin Eckler. I think he's got a little ways to go before that, but I definitely think he's going to be a good guy for the Steelers to be able to utilize this year. The next pick after that, I went after Marvin Mims. Another thing here too, like Sean Payton comes in. His job is to basically fix Russell Wilson, or we can argue back and forth on that, but his job's to win games. But he brings in Marvin Mims. That's the first guy he drafts. He's going to use him, especially with Judy out with a hamstring injury. Mims is going to get looked after early and often, and if he develops rapport with Russell Wilson early, there's going to be a lot of people that drafted Jerry Jeudy that are going to be pissed. And I'm telling you, if he becomes that downfield threat, which they're talking he is, look out. We got another, Tyler Lockett in our hands, or someone that can really be able to put up, 7, 8 touchdowns this year, and put up some good fantasy numbers, especially for the Broncos. So, and the Broncos are probably going to be in situations, especially in that division, when you look at the Chargers, the Chiefs, they're going to be in shootouts. They're going to have to be able to throw the ball. So I think Marvin Mims is going to be a smash play this year. I went with Alan Lazard, just a little bit of, I guess, Rodgers security blanket there. I just think that, him and Rodgers, they played together for years. It gives him a little bit of comfort having him there in New York. And 12th round, it just seemed like a pretty comfortable target hog to be able to get. Balls can't always go to Garrett Wilson there. I think there's other people that are going to have to get involved, and Lazard seems like he could be one of those guys. Next, I went with Jaden Reed, and I think, it's unquestioned. He's the slot guy in Green Bay. They already announced it that he's going to be starting with that team. And I think, him developing rapport with Jordan Love, I think this guy is going to crush it this year. Like, he is, you're looking probably in the range of like 80 receptions, and who knows if he's able to turn those into touchdowns or not, but it's definitely going to be a possession receiver, and he's going to help out Green Bay quite a bit with moving the ball and moving the chains there. Next, I went with Geno Smith, and this is just, you see me smiling. This is laughable, man. Like, this guy finished fifth overall as a quarterback last year. I had him on my team, an absolute stud. I mean, like, this guy just kept coming out week after week, and every week everyone would hate on him again and say like, "Oh yeah, this guy sucks." Like, he's gonna go out. When is he gonna fall off the cliff? And he just never did. He just didn't buy into the hype, like he says. He didn't write back. He just kept going every single week, kept showing up, kept putting in the time, and he kept getting it done with DK and Tyler Lockett. And I'll tell you, if he got another weapon this year, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think, and it looks like he's going to be ready for week one. Things are just looking up for Geno Smith. I mean, he's a good decision maker. He finally got his shot there, and I'm so happy for him. And it's a great guy in fantasy to have. Like, really, what's not to like here? He's my backup quarterback to Justin Fields. If Justin Fields goes down, yeah, that's really sad, but you got a solid starter in Geno Smith. Last two picks here, Jason Myers. I had him on one of my teams again last year. Very consistent kicker for Seattle. Wasn't much not to like about this guy. Like, kicks extra points, kicks field goals consistently. Yeah, I'll take him any day. And the defense there in New Orleans. Has anyone really looked at their schedule? For New Orleans this year, it is insane who they're playing. It's not almost not even believable. I saw it on, all you got to do is Google it and stuff. You could see the quarterbacks they're playing against this year. It's a joke. New Orleans is going to be an every week starter for me. I don't even think there's a question about that. And especially in the league I'm playing in, there's no negative points given up for defenses. So there is nothing but upside for these guys playing against a lot of very young quarterbacks. And I think it's going to be really, really easy to just set it and forget it this year for them. So, all right, there we go through the draft recap for the 12 team PPR. Send me some comments. Let me know what you think. We'll go from there.